You know, in my last video, I made a joke saying that I was going to be pretty hungover since it was my 24th birthday and I was going to be celebrating and whatever else. It's now been, like about 3 days since then, and I'm still feeling the repercussions, okay? I have a lot of regrets. But don't worry, we are going to power through the pain, because what else would you do without your daily fix of internet drama? Life just wouldn't be the same. And we're actually going to be talking about some new regulars that have appeared on this channel within the last year. The Try Guys. Now this is the part where I usually say, if you don't know what this situation has been like in the past with these people, then I'll give you a bit of a recap. But realistically, if you don't know what's happened with the Try Guys this year, where the fuck have you been? It was probably the biggest piece of internet drama all year, and that's from the Try Guys who, before this, I don't even think we're involved in any drama. But I will give a very fast recap before we get into the more recent stuff. But before I do that, if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. About 40% of the people who watch these videos aren't subscribed, and it's really upsetting. So if you want to make me a bit happier this Christmas, let's get that number down a little bit, okay? 40%. It's pathetic. But in all seriousness, the Try Guys, okay? It was 4 people, one of which was Ned Fulmer, who was kind of like the wife guy. It then turned out he had been cheating on his wife with a co-worker who was also his wife's kind of like friend and also co-worker at the time. And it was this big piece of drama because everyone started finding out new piece of information and found out how long it had been going for and the hints that we didn't even notice at first, but in hindsight, the hints were there all along. We then had all the video responses and everything we spoke about. There was a parody that was made on SNL because one of Ned's friends is a writer for SNL. Like, it was a very strange situation. And it feels like we're starting to get a bit of closure on the situation because obviously it's not mentioned as much now, but there are a few moments where it is mentioned, and in fact, a lot of the viewers of the Try Guys are starting to kind of turn on the other 3 Try Guys, saying they're just milking it a little bit now. That's not really the opinion I hold, but the video I saw the most on recently was actually on a podcast episode. Now, the majority of this podcast is about Zach's bachelor party. They don't really talk about Ned that much, but there is a bit of a dig that is directed towards Ned halfway through.
He only is capable of delivering something that is perfect.
That's so funny.
And then we used to work with someone who didn't edit at all.
Boo! Sounds like a personal problem.
Yeah, so they were talking about their team and what work certain people do. They talk about how, like, Eugene, Keith, and Zach all have, like, little bits of other editing job as well as obviously appearing in the videos, and then he makes a dig saying that they used to work with someone who didn't edit at all, and I mean, no prize for guessing who that's about. Now obviously a lot of people found this joke funny. They like the little shade towards Ned, and the top comment even says, "We used to work with someone who didn't edit at all. The slander never stops and I'm here for it." But not everyone seems to enjoy the slander, if you want to call it that, because a bunch of the replies to this comment pretty negative. So unnecessary though. I kinda agree, I wish we would never hear about that again. It's annoying to be honest, like get over it already. Look, I've stuck up for them in much of this, and while I do not fault them feeling however they feel about it, there is some exaggeration here. They took a financial hit, but they also absolutely were not facing financial ruin, and every single one of them have had plenty of other activities they could turn to and be successful with full time. Their company was briefly endangered, ended up getting a big boost from it in hundreds of thousands of new subscribers, revenue from rewatchers of back catalogue, and new sponsorships, and freedom to move their channel in a direction that seems to make them happier. They can feel however, process however, and if they want to throw shade, they are certainly allowed to do it, but they make noise about wanting to move on, and not talk about it even while they continue to keep it in conversation with the shade. I get it in War, given they had to edit him out, but now, in stuff filmed way after, I'm tired of it too. Doesn't mean they have to stop. Their content, their channel. This fan is ready to move on. Pointing out that someone's career development was different from their own, which is a completely neutral and legitimate thing, and turning even that into slander is not something I would have expected from these guys. I thought we'd hit the bottom already, but it just keeps getting lower. And there are many more comments very similar, and I do get it to a certain extent. Like, they obviously do mention it a lot, but I feel like it's kind of warranted. Like, maybe if they were going out of their way to really try and ruin Ned's life and not let him have any privacy with the situation and make an absolute hit piece after hit piece on Ned, then I would be a bit like, okay, right, that might be a bit over the top. But they're just throwing a few jokes after a situation that was clearly pretty bad for the company. And yeah, obviously in hindsight, it does seem to have like positively affected the company. If anything, they have a lot more followers, subscribers, their videos are getting watched way more than they were before, so I do understand that part. But it could have very easily not been the case, and the internet could have reacted very differently. And that's kind of the problem here, is that Ned was being selfish in his actions, knowing fine well that if this news came out, it could be bad. And obviously on top of that, the fact they've had to re-edit so many other videos, and they're still re-editing videos now, editing Ned out of them, is probably annoying. So it is fresh on the mind, because they're getting reminded every single day that they've got to do extra work just to remove someone from a video who was in it when it was filmed. But I guess it's a bit of a topic for debate. I would love to know your opinions down below. Do you think they are taking it too far? For me personally, I feel like they can react however they want to. It's not even that bad of a joke. I get you might see it as a bit like unnecessary, but just making a joke, you know, just words. But on the topic of the Try Guys in this situation and how they're moving on from it and whatnot, they recently did an interview with The Hollywood Reporter where they were asked a few questions about their channel, what's going to be happening in the future, and also some questions about Ned, which they weren't fully allowed to give proper answers for. We will get into it. And so you've made the choice to continue as the Try Guys, as the three of you? Correct. We're still continuing our company moving forward, and I think over time in the next years, the Try Guys will change what it looks like. Maybe there's more of us. Maybe it's less specific to just the three of us. At the heart of it, our show is about people experiencing things they never experienced before. It's about having an open mind and having a fun time doing it, and being okay to fail at it. I think as long as that ethos and message goes on throughout our content, the Try Guys being Keith, Zach and Eugene is less important than the Try Guys being a cast of people that helps other people learn about other people, without saying the same phrase 5 times. But that is the core of it. The three of us have for a long time been interested in evolving as artists, evolving as a collective. What we're focused on right now is figuring out ways to make what we make cooler and change it up. So as you can see, they're kind of dropping hints that maybe in the future the Try Guys won't just be the three of them doing like fun activities and trying things, you know. There's going to be a full cast of people, and it's going to be more of like a network than just the three of them on the channel, which I feel like a lot of people probably won't like at first, because, you know, people don't really like change, but I see it as a good thing. They are doing their own unique adventures away from the channel, and maybe they want to delve into that more and take some time away from the channel whilst also keeping it running. So I don't hate the idea. I mean, let me know your opinion down below. And then this is where they were asked about the SNL skit, right? And this is what they had to say. Well, obviously being parodied on SNL was something we didn't really ever anticipate out of our careers. We never thought we were important enough to be ridiculed that way. We've had a big wave of people coming to see where our channel was and trying to look for drama. And most of them people have been like, okay, there's really not that much drama left here, I'm going to move on. But we've had old fans who have been reintroduced to our content and they're like, I really like this, I forgot how much I like this. And now they're back here to stay. And we definitely had some people that never heard of us, saw what we do and have decided to become new fans. But I think and hope that the new wave of us being in the public eye for the Ned Fulmer scandal is coming to an end. And I mean, on that note, I'm kind of in that bracket. Like, I knew who the Try Guys were. I'd seen a few videos in the past, specifically on BuzzFeed. I really hadn't seen much of their new stuff. And when this piece of drama happened, I was like, you know what, let's watch a few of the videos. And they're really good. And even though I still don't really watch every single video, I definitely watch way more than I used to. And I feel like a lot of people are probably in that same boat. And then he actually got questioned even further on the whole SNL thing, because they didn't really mention their thoughts specifically on the skit. They kind of just went on to talk about how there were a lot of new fans for the channel, and when they were asked this new question, it does say here that a publicist intervenes to request the conversation move away from Saturday Night Live. Yeah, so obviously they're being pretty careful with what they say, even though they did speak about it quite a lot on their podcast. But they don't want to talk about it now, or at least their publicist doesn't want them to, and it's not the only time that happens in this interview. But the conversation does move away from SNL, and then they are questioned on what their thoughts on people's reaction that they reacted too harshly to Ned Fulmer and what he did, and said that he shouldn't have been sacked. I don't fault anyone who has a reaction to something like that, because they typically don't see people held accountable in those types of positions of power. The fact that we publicised it and also made it something that was core not only to our stance as people who run a business with people who are extremely vulnerable, but also just as people who have a responsibility to make sure that is open and discussed. I don't fault people for thinking something like, this is just not something that I saw in my parents' generation. Hopefully this is a learning curve for a lot of audience members, whether they agreed or disagreed. We did something that was necessary and right within the confines of our business, and then we communicated to our fans about the decision we made. We never expected that it was going to become what it became, but we stand by our actions 100%. Yeah, and what he says is true, because we don't really see people in positions of power being held responsible really that often at all. I mean, especially in Hollywood, there are so many people who have a very big position of power and they do have sexual relations with people who work for them, and almost use it as a thing of, oh, if you have sex with me or whatever else, you can be higher up in the company, you can get a role in a movie, you can get whatever else. And that's not what I'm saying that Ned Fulmer has done, but that is kind of just became a normality in Hollywood, and we don't really see people being held accountable for it. So that probably is another reason why so many people have this stance that what happened was too harsh and Ned shouldn't have been sacked and whatever else. But I also think a lot of the people who are complaining don't really know the whole situation, and they think Ned was just sacked because he cheated, and it wasn't because it was an employee and everything else that came with it. I think just people don't really know. But this is where the publicist comes in again, because they are asked, are you in communication at all with Ned? Or is it a complete clean divorce? A publicist intervenes and says for legal reasons, the Try Guys will not address any specifics related to their communication with Fulmer. Fulmer did not respond to a request for comment from the Hollywood Reporter. So yeah, I'm not sure if that's because they are in a legal battle with maybe like the ownership of the company and whatever else, or it's just because they don't want to get in a legal battle with slander and everything else that goes with it, because they have spoke about it quite a lot, as I said, on like their podcast, but clearly they don't want to speak about it now, so maybe they're just being safe. And finally, we're going to talk about the Try Guys' new video called What Happens Next, where they are sat in the exact same location that they made that infamous Ned Fulmer video explaining what was going to be happening with the channel and Ned's disappearance, and they basically make a very light-hearted explanation in a way of what's going to be happening with the channel and like new episodes and whatever else. And obviously there is maybe a little shot fired in Ned halfway through.
We wanted to make a video to just say, hey, thanks.
Yeah, we want to say thank you for having been there for us the last 8 years. You know, we kind of missed our 8-year anniversary for some reason this go around, but we want to say
I mean, I wonder why. There's nothing that really springs to mind as to why they would forget a little celebration like that, and they didn't have a chance to, but if you do know, let me know.
We're saying thanks because this video sort of marks an end and a beginning. The channel, obviously, it looks a little different than it used to. And
oh, there's another little shot towards Ned. The elephant, if you do remember, they have actually replaced Ned with an elephant in a couple of their videos, you know, addressing the elephant in the room, which I've got to say, I do prefer the elephant over them just removing Ned fully, and you can see a little like blank space in the video. It's pretty creative, okay? Shout out to the editing team.
But with happy endings.
okay, Eugene.
comes the opportunity for happier beginnings.
There you go. A little shot there as well. With happy endings comes a new happy beginning, whatever else. Like I said, I feel like they should be able to make jokes about the whole situation, but I just know for a fact that so many people are going to hear Eugene say that and whatever else they say throughout the video, and they're going to be pissed and saying that they're milking it, but I personally don't have a problem. So I feel like that should be the big question of this video. Do you think they're taking it too far? I feel like it's going to be a pretty mixed reaction. But yeah, the rest of the videos, them just kind of talking about their new live show they're doing and what other future content's coming out, and they just look a lot happier, and I feel like it is a bit of like a nice ending to it all. They're making the video in the exact same location that they made the very sad and serious video about Ned, and obviously they seem very happy now. I'm not sure if that was intentional with how the same locations, I'm sure it probably was, but yeah, happy endings, eh? Don't you love to see it? But like I said a few times throughout this video, I'd love to know your opinions on everything we spoke about, with people who are thinking they're going too far. What were your opinions on the interview? Are you looking forward to new content? Just everything. I feel like this is... I feel like I say this every single time I speak about them. But I genuinely do feel like this will be the last time I speak about the Try Guys, because surely there can't be anything else, right? This feels like it's an ending to this whole, like, saga, if you will. So, yeah. I'd love to know your opinions throughout this, and until the next one, I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, goodbye.